Spaces where you exit. Keep your head up. Press your foot on the pedal and never let up. If they say that you can't, that's when you get up and stand. Show them you can. Baby, you know you got it. Please don't let nothing stop it. What other option but to? And no matter the hate, just remember you're great. Shout out and say Vanguard for the.
Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Amber Reese, and welcome to another episode of the Amb Perspective. And today's guest, we have Bradon Hibbs, CEO of One Handed Media and also gamer. Welcome to the show, Bradon. How are you?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing well. Just
Hey,
really
due
busy in
to
the household, you know.
sorry. Due to Bradon not having a camera, you won't be able to see him, guys. So just to let y'all know. Sorry,
I
go ahead, Bradon.
I really apologize for that.
No, that's fine.
So how should we conduct? Do you want to ask
No,
some
I'm
questions
gonna
or
ask. I was getting ready to.
yeah?
So, Brandon, what made you decide to start One Handed Media, and what made you want to do gaming and starting a YouTube channel displaying that?
What started it for me is I was an avid gamer. Um, I've started video gaming since I was 2 years old. That's
Wow,
right,
at 2?
at 2.
That is amazing.
I am now 32, almost 33, because it's nearing close to my birthday soon. The reason I started it was to bring attention to the disabled market in video games,
Right.
which I felt was being graciously ignored. And I thought to myself, why don't I try and do something? It was actually a really close dear friend of mine who suggested the name One Handed Media because I play video games with one arm. So I just took it and I ran with it.
What? That's awesome. That is awesome. So I know when I reached out to you, I asked you what your disability is. And for those that don't know, Brandon has cerebral palsy. So with that, and with me having cerebral palsy myself, one of the most common things is one of our sides is affected, or we either can't walk, or if you had the tendon surgery, you're able to walk, and so on and so forth. But for you, when it came to gaming, I know it must have been extremely hard trying to find like the right equipment suitable to fit you. And even though I believe there is a remote, I think Xbox came out with it a few years ago for like people with disabilities to be able to like control it better, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, they did. But the price tag on it is really expensive for me.
But my question for you is, being that, you're a gamer, how do you go about getting equipment and
I just use stock equipment.
okay. And
I play around my limitations.
right,
Like I only stick to a subset of video games I know I can handle.
right,
And I use the in-game modifications to deal with that.
right. So for those that don't know what those type of equipment are, could you break it down for somebody who may be interested in wanting to do gaming and starting that?
I'd be happy to. One of the things where I'm very auditory, like I like using screen readers, and I have low vision at times. So the tools that are already in video games now do help, but they could use some improvement.
Right.
Like I use color blindness and stuff like that.
So you could be able to see like certain objects, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not colorblind, but I do like the advantage of
Well,
having it there.
it's easier because being that, you have cerebral palsy and our eyes being profusely crossed when born, that does kind of affect your vision because I know for me, I can't really see small print too good. I mean, I can see it, but my eyes get tired. So I totally understand, where you're coming from as far as making the game adaptable for you.
Like for most games, they use the trigger buttons, like L2, R1, R2, L1. Those buttons for first person shooters, and I cannot play those. So I stick away from those because I can't play them. But I love to watch them.
Right. So my question to you is, outside of gaming, what other things or what other realms do you see one-handed media getting into since it is a production company?
Um, where I see it going into, it could be a consultant for other companies. It could be its own media conglomerate. I think big, but the execution is not there yet.
Right.
I haven't registered my company yet, which I am working on.
Awesome, awesome. So outside of gaming, what things do you like to do?
I like to hang out with my friends and things like that. Watch YouTube videos. In fact, I've been a part of Holland Blurview in Toronto when I was living there. I do not live there now. I live in Newfoundland
Awesome.
now. I've been with Blurview since I was 5 years old. I was a client there, then moved to volunteer. I've gotten 16 years of volunteer experience from there, which equates to 600 hours over my lifetime.
Awesome, awesome. So I know previously, as I said in the beginning when I reached out to you, you also did say One-Handed Media has a podcast. So being that, of course, you're an avid gamer, and that goes without saying, you may have fellow gamers on the show. Would it be possible when you do the podcast, what type of podcast like would you want it to be, and what do you want viewers to get from it once you launch it?
Um, First of all, I started with video game news that was fairly recent, but then I go into detail like what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, what things can be improved on, what things need changing, things like that.
So with coming out with your podcast, it's gonna be strictly everything gaming, basically.
And disability related things. Sometimes we might go into tangents about SSI, things like that.
Okay, sounds interesting. For those that want to keep up with him, everything is one-handed media on all social medias. I'll be sure to put that in the caption when I upload the video for you guys and make sure you get that. So, where do you see one-handed media in the next 10 years?
I see it as a full-fledged company in every department, whether it be television, whether it be streaming, whether it be movies. I plan to take one-handed media global.
That's awesome.
Like I did say, I think big, but the execution is not there.
Thinking big is always best. I mean, that's kind of what it's like, what I'm doing. Like I see, my brands, expanding. So I definitely believe it, as well as I think the most common thing that people assume with people with disabilities is that we can't do anything. We just do it differently than most. It may take us a little time to get there, but we'll get there. I think that's
Yes,
the most common denominator of someone being of the fellow disabled community or differently abled community.
yes.
If you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I definitely believe in that
Right.
big time.
If you weren't doing gaming, what would have been your career path?
My career path,
If you weren't doing gaming and
if I
not
wasn't doing
protection?
if I wasn't doing gaming, it would be in the hospital sector because I care about people and I want to help them out, get the best care they can.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're really like a people person. Like you love to help people and yeah.
Yes, I do. It's one of my passions. If I'm not working on a game project, I'm usually helping people in the background, like finding information about things.
What is your biggest message that you hope people take away from one-handed media?
Keep your spirits up and keep doing what you're doing. People might not see it as the correct path, but if you believe in yourself, it is the right path for you.
Right. And I got one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up. What is what is your favorite game to play and vlog and show people how you do it and why?
Well, there's multiple actually, but I'll give you a straight answer with that one. It was one of my brother and my favorite games. Star Wars Battlefront. Me and him would trade like kills and everything. And it was such a competition, but we loved it.
Well, it probably enhanced you guys' bond, like made you get closer and it made you love something together.
Yes.
Do you have any questions for me before we wrap up?
Like what gave you the idea to start your channel? I'm just curious about that.
I believe, well, I don't know if I told you this or not, but about six, I want to say, what? Yeah, about 6 years ago, um, I had came across this young lady named Ebony P who has cerebral palsy, and I had seen her on one of my friends' Facebook page because she had YouTube. And so after watching her videos, because she's Christian, and after watching one of her videos, I was like, wow, like I don't know, it was just something about her that just made me be like, I wanna do that. And I reached out to her, via Instagram, and I just thanked her. And from there, the next day, because we swapped numbers, and the next day she said, the Lord placed it on my heart to reach out to you. And she was like, could you write a vlog for me? So I started writing. Then from there, um, I got introduced through her another lady, Miss Octavia Page, who came up with a fashion line for people with different abilities because her son has cerebral palsy and epilepsy, and she wanted him to be able to wear fashionable clothes, but that were adaptable. And from there, I started vlogging for her line, Fashion No Boundaries. And when I seen the momentum that I was getting from it, I'm like, I'm gonna start my own channel. And 5 years later, well, 5 years after, well, 2019, so it would have been 2 years because that was 2018 when fashion. Yeah, I'm right. 4 years, going on 5 years now. Goddess Has Spoken was born, so that's how I came about.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
To me, at least.
Do you have another question?
Have you come up with any challenges you had to overcome while getting to that point?
I think the biggest challenge for me, and it didn't really have so much to do with like creating a vlog for YouTube. It's more so when I started doing the podcast and just trying to balance the two, because I felt like I had to be one way when it came to being in front of the camera, because I started out doing a show first, but then it's like I felt overwhelmed. So then when my boss, Mr. John, opened up a podcast room in the studio, that's when I'm like, I'm gonna try my hand at the podcast. I don't know, cause the room's not as big, so it's not like the only people that are watching you is like Mr. John and then my producer Jose. But I just felt like it wasn't so big, like you know. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me, is finding the balance between the two and still trying to remain being myself.
I find, going on what you said, I find it very, very difficult to find a work-life balance.
Right. I feel like that was the hardest part for me, is just trying to remain true to myself and still bring that energy from YouTube and bringing it into the show. But now I feel like I have it down pat, you know? Um I'm very I'm very appreciative for, every opportunity that has opened up since then, and I'll just be forever grateful. So, yeah. And my last question to you is, for how, if you had, let me do that over. Sorry, my bad. Sorry, guys. If you had to pick someone to play you in a movie, who would it be and why?
This might sound funny, okay? But I would have Brad Williams do it.
Okay, okay.
Just because I'm the kind of person who is funny, but is really frank about it. You know,
Okay.
when I play games or do stuff, I always try to lighten the tone of who I'm speaking with. So that is why I would like him to do it.
Okay. And I got one more, because we got about 6 minutes. So what's your main tool that you use for the controller, since you only have, your good side that you use?
I I will I will direct you to one of my YouTube videos for your listeners or viewers or what have you, depending on where it lands. Um, there's one I like to call How I Use a Controller, or something along those lines.
Okay, okay. And I'll be sure, maybe you can send me like a little clip, and we could be able to show, you know, um,
Exactly. I would be happy to grab that for you.
so, just let me know, and yeah, we'll go from there. Well,
Okay.
that wraps up today's episode with my guest, Bradon Hibbs. Bradon, thank you for coming on the Amb Perspective and sharing your perspective with the Amb fam. As always, stay humble, remain true to yourself, be blessed. Until next time, bye guys.